Hello, Pajama Crafters. Hello, welcome to my craft room. I'm so glad you're here with me today. So today we are going to make a card that it can be a little complicated, but I am going to explain it to you in a way that you will feel confident going off on your own and creating one of these because they're really fun, they're very impressive, and I think you're really going to like it. So it is called a slider stage card, and it slides open and reveals a stage on the inside. So to do that, we're going to use this Dinomite Birthday stamp set with all these dinosaur rock band. And I brought in some of the Birthday Bash paper to highlight our project. So we're going to jump right into it because there's quite a bit that we need to do. So you need two 5x7 panels of 110 cardstock. And for this particular card, I chose to use cream because that's what I had in the weight of paper that I needed. And we're going to glue those two together. So these are just 5x7 panels, and we're gluing it together so that we have a nice sturdy piece. All right. So that is step number one. And this is going to provide for us a nice sturdy background for our piece. And we do that because there's a lot of mechanisms that are working and it has a bit of a pull. So you want a nice sturdy piece. If you wanted to, you could even glue a third one, but for mine, I'm just going to do two. The next thing you're going to need is two more 5x7 pieces. Oops. And you're going to cut a matching aperture in each one. And this is going to be the opening for your stage. Now for my stage, it's going to be, like for a rock band. So I wanted it to be just a rectangle opening. So I used a set of A2 nesting dies, and I chose one that would, work for what I'm designing here. You could do circles. You could freehand cut it if you wanted to. You just need it to be exactly the same for both pieces. And just like the back, we're going to layer these up so that it makes our front panel just as sturdy as our back panel. Now, one thing I do want to point out, whatever your aperture is, you want to leave about an inch on either side for your sliding mechanism to adhere. Okay. So we are layering these up. Another thing that can be helpful, depending on your design and what you're putting in here, you can see I raised my aperture up a little bit so that the bottom edge is a little bit wider than the top edge. And that's just because I've got a stage going on and I wanted a little more room down here at the bottom. All right, now this, I got off just a little bit and I am going to trim it down. If you do get off a little bit, you want to trim that so it is perfectly 5x7. If anything, you want it a little smaller, not a little bigger. Okay, all right. So if you get any little overhangs, go ahead and trim them. I think right up here, I have to do this little corner too. That's right there. Okay, just a hair. All right, so now we have our two 5x7, a back piece and a front piece. So on this front piece, I want you to take a punch or a circle die, whichever one that you have handy. I'm just going to use this punch right here. And we want to punch ourselves a couple thumb holes on the side. So I'm just going to place that right there so it's just a half circle. Go ahead and punch that out. There we go. And I'm just going to lay my ruler across here so I can't eyeball it and get it the same. So I'll put myself a little pencil mark there. That's just so I get them. If you can eyeball it, go right ahead and do that. I'm just not very good at that. So this little pencil mark, I'm just going to put right in the center so they're close to the same size and same thing. Just going to, all right. And this is so that when we have our mechanism, this is where we'll pull from, okay? And I often forget this step, so I find doing it right now keeps me from forgetting later when I'm excited to decorate my card. I don't forget to do that. All right. So we have our front panel and our back panel ready to go. So we'll set those aside. The next thing you're going to need is 2 more pieces of sturdy cardstock. And these are slightly smaller than 5x7. So it's 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. Now I'm going to place it right in here, and we are going to score these at 1 1/4. Oops, 1 1/4 and 3 1/2. Just going to reinforce those. Okay. And the same thing on this one. We're going to go 1 1/4 and 3 1/2. I'm going to repeat the size of these one more time. It is 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. All right, so in this section right here that is in between the middle section, right there, we're going to do a little bit of cutting. So let me show you how we're going to do that. I'm going to take my ruler, and 1/2 inch from the bottom, I'm going to place a little tick mark. All right. Then I'm going to come back a little bit, and I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch and put a little tick mark. I'm just going to draw some lines there so you can see what I'm doing. All right. So at this place, I'm going to go 1/2 inch back on this bottom line and make myself a mark. And now from that mark, I'm going to draw about a 3/4 of an inch section, just like that. Okay, I'm going to hold it up so you can see. So this is from the bottom line, going back 1/2 inch. I made myself a 3/4 inch little line. Now from the back line, I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch in. And again, I'm going to draw myself a 3/4 of an inch little section. Okay. So basically what you want is 2 little sections here that we're going to now cut out. All right. And I'm going to do that with my scissors, but I'm going to get it started here with my box cutter. And my box cutters are not super sharp. If you have a really good X-Acto knife, or you can cut the whole thing out using this. But mine is just not very good. So I find it easier to do with my scissors. But what we want to do is cut that out of there. Let's see if it went all the way through. Yeah, that did pretty good. Maybe I'll try it. This is a little bit better paper than what I used before. Let's see if that'll cut right out of there. Not bad. That worked pretty good. Just going to use my little scissors. Turn that just a little bit. Okay. So that's what you have now. And so you want 2 of those. All right, I'll try that again. I didn't quite go deep enough. There we go. This is the hardest part of this card to me, is cutting these little things out. Mostly because I need to buy myself a new X-Acto knife. That may be a present to myself. Okay, I'm just going to trim that little gnarly bit out because of my knife. Like I said, if you have a good X-Acto knife, yours will look prettier than mine. All right, so now that we have one done, you're going to take your second one and you're going to line it up so that your score marks are in the same way. And now we're just going to make our sword, color that in right there, and cut out the exact same notches on this one, on the bottom one. Okay, so you have to do that twice. I thought about doing this step in advance, but this is kind of an important part if we want our mechanism to work, so I wanted to do it with you rather than just telling you about it so that you could see exactly what I'm doing. Okay. Wait. Clean that all up. There we go. Now we'll do this one. All right, well, oops, get rid of that. Okay, so now what you have are two pieces that look like this. You have your little notches, one lower and one higher, and you have these little sections here. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to, my pencil marks on mine, I'm going to go ahead and erase those. You probably won't see them, but just in case. You'd have to know where to look to see them, but there we go. All right, so let's set these aside with our front and back. You're going to need 2 strips. I have 3. I only need 2. Let's see if I measure the right ones. That are a 1/2 inch wide, and these are 8.5 long because it's just from a full sheet of 8.5, or maybe they're 11. They're 11 inches long because we will cut them down when we use them, but for now you just need them to be 11 inches by 1/2 inch. All right, now you need 2 pieces that are this size. And I'm going to tell you what we're going to do, and then we're going to do it. So 1/2 inch from each end, you're going to make yourself a little mark. All right. Now 1/4 inch in, and I'm going to do it like this. You're going to go 1/4 inch in and draw a line from your 2 hash marks that you just made. All right, just like that. And you're going to do that to both sides. Whoops, my ruler moved. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. So 1/2 inch from each end and 1/4 inch from each side, you're going to make marks, okay? Now, we're going to cut this section right here and this section right here. We're going to cut them away, all right? So what I like to do is go ahead and right here, just make a little dent in, then come down here and make a little nodging end up. I'm going to do that on both ends first. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So right there where my marks are, I got down a little too far. There we go, right here. And go in 1/4 inch, up 1/4 inch. Didn't quite go all the way. There we go. Then I'm going to line it up this way, 1/4 inch. And just get it, turn it around. I'm going to do this twice, and I'm only going to make the marks. Once you've done this a few times, you don't do all the measuring with the pencil. I can just do it with my paper cutter without doing all the marks. I just wanted you to be able to see what I'm doing. So there you go, and we'll just pull that away. What you want to be left with is something that looks like this, right? And we need 2 of those. And I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, this is 1 inch by about 6 3/4 inch. Okay, so now for the second one, I'm just going to take it to the 1/2 inch mark right here, make a 1/4 inch little tab, little 1/4 inch this way, turn it around, do the same thing, a 1/2 inch, go a 1/4 inch in and a 1/4 inch up. There we go. Then turn it to the side and add a 1/4 inch. Just close it right there. Bring it down to the other mark. Turn it around. And pull out my 2. And there we go. All right. So the exact measurements of how wide this is, or, you know, like if you go in a little further than a 1/4 inch or something like that, that's not going to matter to the overall function. And you'll see what I mean when we get it all put together. But generally, this is what you want. And these are the little parts that will go inside your card that your images will attach to. But you need it to be able, the mechanism to slide along here. So that's why you want these little stoppers on the end. So hopefully that all makes sense. So this is basically the bones of our card. I think everything else is decoration. Let me move all my stuff out of the way. There we go. So we have our 2 little tabs that we created. We have a 1/2 inch strips, 2 of them. We have our 2 side pieces, our back and our front. So what we're going to work with right now, we're going to take your back piece and your side pieces. And our side pieces, we're going to fold it and burnish it. And we're going to fold it and burnish it. Okay. Just like that. Now, the way this is going to attach is right here. And it's going to go to right there. But we're only going to put glue on this section right here. And eventually, this will close just like that. Okay? So, we're going to pick it up. And we're going to put glue right here. I chose these to be orange on purpose, or, you know, a different color than my base, so that you could easily see what I'm doing. If you wanted to do your whole card in the same color, that would be totally fine. Okay, so I'm just kind of centering that in there, trying to make sure it's centered all along there, just like that. Okay, burnish that down real well. I'm going to fold that over. And now this one is going to go on this side. So same thing. I'm going to fold it this way and burnish it. And then I'm going to fold it that way again and burnish it. So we basically have the same thing. We're making like a little C with a very long end. And this one is going to go right here. And when it closes, it's going to close right about there. Okay. So I did this on purpose to see where I need to glue this one. And this one, I'm going to have to go all the way to the edge because I left a little bit too much room. So you can just check because you have some wiggle room there. Remember when we made these a little bit shorter than our outer edge? That's why. So we can have just a tad more wiggle room. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add our glue right there on that tab. Oops. I got a little bit over here I need to wipe off. There we go. And what I like to do, go ahead and, I'm right-handed, so this side is always a little more awkward for me. So just line that up. And I'm just positioning it so I've got this seam right here together. Okay, now I can open that up and burnish this side down real well. All right, now while I'm at this point, I'm going to turn this over and see if I need to trim anything. I think we're good. If I wanted to, there's just a little hair of orange showing. I could trim that off, but if it was all the same color, I mean, that's not going to matter. But this is what we have now, okay? So before we do our next part, let's take our layering pieces and put those on at this point. So I have cut 2 of my decorative paper like this, and both of these measure 3 1/4 by 4 5/8, and we're going to put those right here. So that measurement was 3 1/4 by 4 5/8. All right. Burnish that one on. So there's what we have so far. So while we're at it, we're also going to glue our decorative piece in here. For that one, I have chose this blue piece, and it is going to measure 4 1/4 by 4 3/4, and it's going to fit right in here like that. All right, so now that we're at this point, let's go ahead and set this aside for a moment, and we are going to work on the front of our card. All right, so here is the front, and I have taken some of my orange paper and used some nesting dies to create a frame. And you just take a bigger one and the next size smaller, die cut them at the same time, and you'll get an outline die. So I started with the smaller one that I cut my aperture with, and then used a larger one as my frame. And we're just going to add this around. Place that right here. You'll see a little bit of the cream, that's okay. Now, I happen to have in my stash a curtain die, so I used it. If you don't have a curtain die, don't worry about it a bit. This card, your stage will be just as nice without this, but this is a fun thing to add. I just had to happen to have this in my stash, and if you have anything like this, if you have any bunting or anything like that, you can use that. You can, if you wanted to put like if your stage is going to be more like a scene, you could put bushes, you could put, there's just all kinds of ways that you could kind of decorate. I'm going to use this curtain. So the way I'm going to do that, I'm just going to add my glue right here. And I'm going to set this right on it, just like that, and press down. So I get that in the right spot. Because mine is like a stage for a rock band. So that's why I thought this curtain would be a fun addition. Now, one thing you want to be careful of is back here on the back side that you leave some room here, because this, in fact, this one might be a little too far that way. And if that happens, we'll do what we can to fix it. But you want to leave some room for your mechanisms to go there. So this might catch right there. We'll see how that works once we get it all put together. But that might cause me problems later. Hope not. Okay. So we've got that part done. We can set that aside. Let's go back to this part. We're going to open it up. And remember those 2 little tabs that we made? you're going to take one tab, you're going to fold the corners in, and you don't have to you don't have to use a score mark or anything. You just do it with your fingers, just fold it in, and you're going to do that to both edges, or to both ends, sorry, because that's not going to matter. Now you're going to take that and put it in that back thing until it clicks in, and then open back up the tabs that you folded. Okay, and you're going to do that on both ends. Now, the important thing about these is that this is able to slide. Okay, see that in there? See, there's enough room. We cut our notches big enough that that can slide easily. If this is too tight, if your notch fits against this too tightly, then it won't slide, and that will affect your opening and your closing, because you want it to be able to slide and move. Okay, so let's add the front one. Same thing, I'm just folding them in. Pop that in one end, and pop it in the other end. And now we're going to open that up, and we're going to open this one up. All right, so the way this comes together is just like that. Now, if you notice, when this closes like that, there's very little room there. See, okay, see that amount of room from right there to right there? That's the only place that you can stick your little images. If you stick your images too far out here on the edge, then your card's not going to be able to close. So that is something to think about. And there we go. All right, let's put the front on, and I'll show you how to do that. Open up right here. We're going to take one of these and place it right here, and then fold it back down. Okay, just like that. See that? Now this one, same thing. I'm going to place it right there and fold it back. Easy peasy, right? Now, you're going to fold this down, but not all the way up tight against the orange paper. I'm going to put my finger there so that where my seam is a little bit higher. You see that? See? You want it to be a loose curl around there, not a, you don't want to burnish it or make it a hard edge. We're just going to kind of curl that up over there, just like that. All right, same thing, top and bottom. So now right here where the overlap is, I'm going to add some glue. If I can get my glue to come out. What a time to have my glue be stuck. Hold on. There we go. All right, and glue that real well. And layer that up. All right, and this should slide easily along here. See how that slides? Okay, if you've done it too tight, cut it off there and do another one, because that will totally mess it up if it's too tight. Same thing. I'm going to fold this down, keeping it loose. And the way I do it is I just kind of place my fingernail right there and then just curl it up, and don't press down or burnish it or anything. And same thing, I'm going to add the glue right there in the overlap. And there we go. Okay. Slide my little mechanisms in there. Okay, now I'm going to take my sliders and I'm going to slide them out to the ends, out towards the ends of my tops. Okay, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so, or 1/4 inch from the very edge. See, I'm not taking it all the way to the very edge, but close. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go glue this on, but only right there. Okay, so I'm going to put glue on my sliders. That's what these are. Put my glue over here on this one. Position it where I want it. Now I'm going to take my top and I'm going to put it right on there. Hopefully getting it square on my card. And we're going to hold that down and let that adhere. And right here at this point is a good point to say a little prayer that it all worked. You do get better at it. Don't get discouraged if the first time things don't work, because you kind of learn as you go what you need to do to make it work really well. And I've tried to tell you the tips that I've learned so far, but then this is going to slide open like that and slide shut like that. And there you have your stage all ready to decorate. All right, see how that goes? Now remember, when we put our images in there, it's important where we put them. You can't put image, just because you have this whole stage, if you put your images out over here, the card can't close anymore. All right, so I have made 3 little dinosaurs. I've made have a Dinomite birthday. I've got the words, they say it's your birthday, and then I have some musical notes and stars. And we're going to add these inside of our stage card and decorate the outside as well. Okay. All right. Now to do that, okay, I'm going to kind of leave it like this and do my best to decorate it where you can see me. This guy I'm going to kind of put in the center right here on this front piece. And this fella, I'm going to put him a little, just a tad on the second piece back. Kind of right here. So you can kind of still see him, but he's just off to the side there. Now this one, I'm going to raise him up a bit, and he's going to be glued to the very back. And he can be raised up a little bit so that he can be seen better. Hook that down. All right, now on your back, you have a little bit more leeway on where you put things. So I'm going to put my, they say it's your birthday, kind of right back there on the very back. And we're going to add some of the stars and musical notes. If I can get a hold of them. All right. And I do like to do this with tweezers, some of the smaller pieces. It's actually easier the larger pieces too, if you have a, just adding some decoration back there. And then the rest we'll add to the outside of our frame. Now the musical notes and the stars, the musical notes I cut from the paper, or from the stamp set, I'm sorry. And then the stars, I just die cut some stars from my stash out of, you see that? Got a band going on. I know there's quite a bit of shadow, but it's really fun back there. So, okay, let's go ahead and add our sentiment. Now on the inside, I wouldn't pop anything up, but on the outside, if you wanted to, you can pop up any and all of this, okay? So let's add our stars. And our musical notes. Now, on these 2 sections, I would not add anything because it could affect your sliding, okay? Just like that. Okay, looks like we're doing good as far as our sliding mechanism goes. Add my musical notes here. Add another one up in there. I have one more note and one more star. All right. So obviously this card can be decorated in lots of different ways using lots of different scenes, but let's go ahead and take a look. So it's a 5x7 card. It's going to go into an envelope just like this. Now what you can do is add a panel back here and stamp messages and write back here. And when they open this up, boom, they've got this 3-dimensional stage card that stands up great to set on to admire it. And, you know, we could have put a few more things in there if we wanted to, but I wanted to keep this one simple since we had so much going on there. So, all right, that is how you make a slider stage card. And these are kind of addictive. Once you start making them, it's really fun. You start seeing all kinds of sets that will just look fantastic in this way. So, all right, thank you so much for joining me. If you've never made one of these, I hope